So we're not going to do like sing a tune and I'll pick a different part, harmony.
No, probably not.
No. All right.
Mostly it's just a hangout at this point.
Yeah, it's a hangout with friends who love bugs, basically.
Sweet.
It's like book club, but for bugs.
Bug Club.
Yeah.
Bug club. Hello, friends and beans. Welcome to Bugs Need Heroes, a podcast where an artist and an entomologist team up to illustrate the inspiring abilities of insects by creating bug-themed superheroes. I'm Amanda.
I'm Kelly.
Producer Derek and Desdemona are also here. Before we get started creating this bug-inspired hero, what's bugging you, Kelly?
Oh, thank you for asking. Oh.
I'm listening.
I apologize to the listeners. I have had a sinus thing happening for the past 4 days, so my voice might sound a little different than usual. If anyone is a Wheel of Time fan and The Dragon Reborn, I'm more like the dumpster fire reborn right now.
Oh, beautiful.
I'm glad this podcast is not visual because I look and feel like straight up trash.
It's that time of year people be going down with sinus infections.
Oh, the pressure in my face is unbelievable.
My dad was trying to tell me about this whole, like, okay, you take, a big whiff of vapor rub, then you press right here, then you lean forward. And I was like, Dad, this seems dangerously close to messing up, like, your whole face. But that's dad advice for you.
Oh, dads.
My dad gave me Rolaids for everything.
Yeah, bro.
There you go.
Dads
Just
always
fizzle
have
that out.
Take these Rolaids and go to school. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Well,
It'll grow back.
I was
Here's some
visiting my parents yesterday for early Christmas, and my dad knew I was sick, and he opens up the hall cabinet, and he's just naming medicines. He's like, "Do you want this? How about this? What about this?" And I'm like, "Dad, maybe some ibuprofen." And he goes, "Well,
yeah,
I think we're out of ibuprofen, but we got this Tylenol, and I go, no, I really just want ibuprofen. If you don't have it, no problem. I'll be fine. Okay. I'll have a beer and I'll call it. You
can go chew the willow tree in the backyard if you want."
But he just kept pulling things out of the closet. It was like a clown car full of medication. It didn't end.
Don't think that's how medications are supposed to work.
But he was very sweet. My dad, I'm an adult, and my father he just wants to take care of me. Like he says, I'm still his little baby, which is so sweet. So sweet. What's bugging you, Amanda? Anything?
I have recently joined the prestigious club known as Flooded Basement.
Oh no! You and Derek are Flooded Basement.
Flooded Basement friends. Mine's not bad. It's more slightly damp basement, but it's our first year being in the house over the winter time. When we bought the house, it was like just the end of winter. This is our first time being here at the beginning of winter. So it's an old house, it's like 1928 or whatever. So there's just not much sealing going on down there. And the water be where the water be. We lost a couple
it's all
boxes.
about how you sell it. It's an indoor pool or
exactly. Like legitimately, because it's like an unfinished basement. Technically it's a reseller. So it's like cement and some stone everywhere, and I'm like legitimately worried that it's an ice rink right now because it's like 28 degrees outside and everything's wet. I'm like, getting in there is going to be a nightmare. But I think we only lost a couple of boxes, which is like not a big deal. I lost a lot of convention stuff, which is the actual prints are fine. I haven't seen too much damage to those because they're all individually like point of sale wrapped in plastic already. But so it's just annoying, but it'll be all right. Cody's like stressed, and I'm like,
oh yeah,
chill, okay.
Cody's a stressful boy in general.
It's just been bad lately.
Tough for him.
We're going to his mom's house today so he can take a nap on her couch and just relax.
Well, listeners, you can hear a third voice. We have a wonderful guest today, which I'm very excited about. My friend of the pod, friend to bugs everywhere, Kevin of All Bugs Go to Kevin Facebook page. Kev, before we get into it, what's bugging you?
Well, not much. and I really have always been one to try to not focus on the things that are bugging me. And I just had a really awesome day yesterday. I went to the local reptile and exotic show and met a lot of All Bugs Go to Kevin fans, which is just, it's so surreal, but some new, some old. And young lady I'm mentoring came with me, and I was able to get her first tarantula, so that was super exciting.
Oh, awesome.
I got a hug from my youngest fan, Marianne, and that always makes my day. And it was just really a good day, and I'm just still reeling from that. And I got some new ambassador friends, so that's cool too.
Who are your new ambassador buddies?
Okay, so I have the Arizona bark scorpion, and
very cool.
So I'm going to show them to you, the listeners. Sorry, you can't see it.
Listeners can go to Kevin's webpage and
yeah, well, exactly. They will be on there soon enough. And the reason I wanted this species is because it is native and it is something that comes up in conversations. And so for me to be able to actually observe them and observe their behavior, it actually helps me to help others to better understand them, because I can better understand them. I mean, there's only so much you can get from literature, and observing and experiencing things is really what helped me to overcome my fears. And so just being able to watch them and see that they're not out to get me, and those sorts of things, and understand their behavior better to be able to explain it to somebody is just super helpful.
I think those are the ones my sister's scared of, because she's in. Oh, sorry, I probably should have said that. I think those are the ones my sister are scared of because she lives outside Phoenix.
Right,
and so
I'm sure it is.
Those are the ones she's checking her shoes for.
Right. I was going to say, people find those in shoes and such, like, things like that. So, and then here I've got a green bottle blue. She's not showing her pretty side, but this is one that I've wanted for a while, and they make really cool webbing. So I can't wait to get her in her enclosure and see what she designs for me. And so in this little one here, it's just taped to the top just so that she didn't get tossed around. But this is an Oresus species, Walkianary. I don't know how you say that, but anyhow, and then I also have some little desert millipedes. Well, actually, some big desert millipedes.
Those are big boys.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. The one of them's probably close to 6 inches. So,
wow.
And I think that's around where they top out. And then I've got this one, which is I'm trying to get to where you can maybe see it.
Yeah.
But this is one of them they call a rose hair, Grammostola porteri, and it's one of my favorite species for an ambassador. They're pet rocks, and they're big, so they have that big, hefty look about them. They feel a little heftier, and so when someone is, trying to face their fears, it just seems to help them. I mean, it's amazing when you see that switch in their eyes and that fear go to fascination, and then almost everyone says something like, "She's really pretty," or "Wow, she's really beautiful." And just to see that moment when you see the terror go away, and then everything's okay, and just this newfound like love and respect, you just see it through their eyes. It's an amazing moment, and I get to see it all the time, and it's so awesome. So
that's awesome.
So were you oh, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead, Amanda.
So were you we try to ask this to as many people as we remember. Were you an animal kid growing up, or specifically a bug kid growing up?
Definitely not. I was an animal person. My dad, he passed away about 1.5 years ago, and I am my dad. So the goofy jokes and all the, all that stuff, that's me, or that's him coming out through me. But he taught me just, to really love life and appreciate life and respect life, and took me outdoors a lot. And arthropods were definitely not on my radar unless they put themselves there. And then I was uneasy a lot of times because I just didn't understand them. And my grandmother was not a big fan. And so a lot of times, you'd hear these fake truths that stuck with me for a long time. And so that's why I started All Bugs Go to Kevin. I mean, a big reason was I wanted to destigmatize these animals, because I believed all the mumbo jumbo that was out there. And then when I read what science had to say, and then saw for myself, it was saw for myself that like everything I was seeing matched what the scientific literature had to say, and not what I learned growing up, you know. And so
Yeah.
that was really powerful for me. And what really changed it for me was the moment I got a macro lens for my cell phone close to 10 years ago, took a picture of an ant, saw the eyes, and that was it. It was no longer this insignificant animal. It has eyes, it breathes, it has a nervous system. Not that I saw that through the photo, but you know, these are all things, you know, like that hit me in that moment when I'm looking into the eyes of this animal. And that's a word I use a lot because I have had so many people go, but bugs aren't animals. I'm like, they're absolutely animals,
Yeah.
you know? And so I call them animals a lot because I want people to understand that these are animals, and arthropods are the largest part of the animal kingdom.
Right.
Like about 85% of all life are arthropods. So
arguably the most important part of the animal kingdom too.
Yes.
It's a bug world. We're just living on it.
Exactly. That's why it's another reason it's important to just understand them better. You know, so many people think they have pest issues and they really have fear issues because there are a lot of things that are not pests. So to destigmatize them and help people understand that seeing a spider doesn't mean that you need to panic. And in most cases, you just get a little closer and check out what they're doing, and you'll probably just see their butt end running away from you because you're big and scary. So.
Yeah, I have a cellar spider that lives in my bathroom, and she's welcome there. She's welcome. She hangs out. It's some kind of Flossidae, and eats whatever happens to get into the bathroom. Usually like a drain fly here or there. I live in an apartment building, and it's impossible to get rid of drain flies in an apartment building. But she takes care of it. It's not so bad.
She's on the case.
She's on it. Yeah, she's on the job. She's my personal exterminator.
You gave me the wrong neighborhood.
Put a little spider at work sign up in the corner.
Yeah, she's adorable.
Spiders at work. Get her a tiny little reflective vest.
So your job is also based around bugs, right, Kev? Can you tell us anything about that?
So that is how I became interested in the first place. I got into pest control. Because I didn't have an affinity for these animals when I joined or got into that field, I just wanted to be good at my job, you know, and because there was fear for me with some of them, you know, I just saw myself as this person that had a truck full of things that could take care of them, you know, and but I wanted to be good at my job, and to be good at pest control, you have to understand the animals. And and you have to learn how to identify things. I mean, identification is the first step in solving a pest issue. And also it's the first step in determining if there is a pest issue. And that's, I think, a lot of times where pest management professionals fall short is, well, it's a bug, so I'm going to do stuff anyway, instead of just educating the customer and not doing anything because it's not a problem. And anyhow, so identification was really important, and that's what really started to open my eyes a lot, because once I started photographing things, everything I photographed, I wanted to know what it was, the life and times, natural history, all this stuff. I wanted to know what they were doing, why they were here, all that stuff. And so in the beginning, it was so many. I was taking 15, 20 animal pictures a day, doing all the work to identify them, and then posting them in groups, or as I started to connect with professional scientists, started sending them to people who specialized in whatever field. And if I was right, then good, great, okay, pat on the back, learn more. And then if I was wrong, figure out why I was wrong. And and over the years, I've amassed so many friends who are entomologists, arachnologists, ecologists, you name it. Lots of ologists out there that I've become friends with that have helped me to become better and stronger. And so to any of them that are listening right now, I thank you so much, because it's meant the world to me. And I would not be where I am right now with all of these wonderful people who have kind of paved the way for me to learn this stuff. So
it takes a lot of practice to learn how to ID. There's a lot of nuance to insect ID, to arthropod ID. It's tough.
Much.
Yeah, and you'll never know all of them. I have people who send me photos all the time. What is this? Friends and family, what is this? And I don't always immediately know what it is, but I do have the tools to identify much quicker than I think regular non-scientist folk, but that took a lot of training and a lot of
Yeah,
time.
it's getting that
So,
starting point, finding that starting point, and the more you learn about what makes flies, and what makes beetles, and so on, you can start to immediately look at an insect, or really any arthropod, and then go, well, this is kind of where they belong. They belong in this family, or this order, or whatever, and you got a starting point, as opposed to just saying, this is something that has an exoskeleton and lots of legs.
Right.
You've got a place to go, and then you can kind of work your way from there. And that helped greatly. And in the beginning, I was legit, like, once I started to understand how to decipher family, um, or I'm sorry, order, I was legit going to Bug Guide and going to the browse section and looking at, like, and refreshing to see different possibilities and saying which one of these groups looks most like what I have here.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
then I would click on that, and then it would break it down further by uh, different genera or whatever, and then species. And a lot of times, like, it was a ton of work, but I learned a lot while I was doing it, because I learned about other species. And so then there were times when I would go, like, I would take a picture of a new species, and I'd go, I know what that is. I figured that out when I learned this other one,
Right.
because I was reading identification information and their morphology and all that stuff. And so it just really helped me.
There are some you can't identify, not without a microscope. Or,
no, absolutely. And that's probably most.
Yeah.
Probably most.
That's half the battle, is realizing, oh, this one I'll never know. I can't do that. Yeah.
And when it comes to identification, like in these Facebook groups and stuff, it's nice to get a species level identification. And for a while, it was just this pride thing for me. Like, I wanted to put the work in and do everything, because it helped my growth. But now I'm so busy, and I get tagged in, dozens of groups every day. And I have to look at, like, what is their reason for needing an ID here? Is it am I trying, like, because most people, when they post a spider, they just want to know that it's not going to kill them or lay eggs in their brain when they sleep, right? And it's not a brown recluse or a black widow or whatever. And so
it's not a brain eating phalange destroyer or whatever.
Right.
It is.
And so like, when I see people come in and feel like they need to do a species level identification, when it's not really truly possible, and then I see bickering in groups and stuff over stuff like that, I'm just like, they just want to know it's not going to hurt anybody. Just,
yeah.
Genus level ID is perfect, and they can learn so much about that genus just by going and doing some research. And if they have more information, they may actually point to the species. So maybe they learn the genus, and they go, you know what, it was on this plant and I noticed it was eating it. Well, that may narrow it down to species for them. If there are 12 individuals of that genus and only one eats that plant, boom, you've got it. And so I always tell people, when it comes to ID, every detail matters. Every detail matters.
Because I know that's a thing with bats too, is like, bats are like, they're so close together. They all look exactly the same. You just like, you gotta take as much info as you can and try to narrow it down. But if you don't, sorry, get a blood test on this bat, see if it's the baby daddy. If it's not.
How many members are in All Bugs Go to Kevin now? How large is your Facebook group?
It is now at over 156,000 people.
Jeez Louise!
Wow. That's
right.
Awesome.
When I started it, I just wanted this place that we talked positively about these animals. No negativity, no kill it with fire, because you can find that just about everywhere else. I just needed a space where we talked positively, because that's how you turn your fear to fascination, because putting all that negativity back in just draws you right back to where you were. And people want, like, we want people to agree with us and take our side at times, and have our backs. And so if we hate spiders, sometimes it's nice to have people that kind of get where you're at. But but at the same time, people come to All Bugs Go to Kevin to get away from that, and so we don't need all that negativity. And it's just, I didn't think we'd be able to keep the integrity at, like, as it started to grow, and I went like, okay, this might be a thing. I didn't think we'd be able to keep the integrity. And it's so hard when you get to
Yeah.
those numbers. And a lot of people join because they find a cool picture and they don't understand, that we have a vision and a goal that we're trying to accomplish. Um, but we still have held strong to what we do, and we've had one-on-one conversations through Messenger just to keep people around, because I want them learning. I don't want to boot them just because they're having a bad day or don't get what we're trying to do. So I have
Yeah.
that conversation. If it's a fit for them, they stay. If not, they go. But they leave on good terms usually in those situations. And so many people have just stuck around and said, you know what, I like what they're doing here, and I'm just gonna try to watch myself, because we want it to be educator friendly. So I don't want the cussing and those sorts of things. And it's not because I'm a prude. I use my fair share of sentence enhancers at times, but it's more about making it a place where everybody feels welcome and they don't have to sift through things and scroll past stuff, unless, I mean, people have to scroll past a spider they don't need, they're not ready to see yet or whatever, but they're not scrolling past comments that are unsavory and such.
So I have to say that your photography truly, as someone who wishes I was better at photo taking, your photography blows me away every single time. I'm like, these are gorgeous. How does he do it? But I would say, yeah, that your photo work is an easy introduction to bugs. And like you said, just like really seeing them as like fellow citizens of this planet. Like you can't not, when you see their little eyes glittering at you,
Mm-hmm.
think, I'm just, please, sir, please introduce me. I'm just a little friend. Like, especially like praying mantises, I feel like have a very charismatic face. Every time
Mm-hmm.
I see a mantis up close, I'm like, there he is, just a little guy
Mm-hmm.
looking at me. But like, yes, how did you get into photography? Do you do a lot of photography outside of this bug work, or what's that journey?
Well, first, thank you so much for the compliment. That means a lot. And I got into photography, really. I mean, I don't remember exactly how old I was. I feel like I was 6 or 7, and I had some birthday money and went to a Walgreens, and I think I spent like $5 to buy a little 110 film camera that took disposable flash cubes that actually are, like have a chemical reaction to make a flash
Yeah.
occur. Like, this is old school stuff. But that was my first camera. I don't remember anything I took a photo of. I don't know if there's photos somewhere in an album at my mom's house. I don't know. But I remember that I just wanted to kind of make my own mark and take photos of what I wanted to, what I was seeing and how I saw the world. And instead of my parents always walking around with this cool equipment, and I wanted my own thing. And but when I got to high school, my parents had a 35 millimeter sitting in the closet that had been there from a vacation from like when I was 8 or 9 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and they just never pulled it out and used it. And so I was wanting to get into photography more and take a class in high school. And so that really opened my world on just like to understanding how a camera works. Just the different settings, how they work into in relation to one another, and the sacrifices you have to make to get the shot, if the lighting isn't right, and how to, make the lighting right when you didn't have it. And so, through using strobes and flash, things like that. And so that's kind of how I got started and got really interested. And mostly like what I loved photographing was nature, landscapes, of course, mammals and things like that. Definitely not bugs; they were not on the radar. But that kind of got to start there. And then once I got into adulthood, I worked for a national photography company, and we did mostly school pictures. But I quickly got moved into a position where I was doing a lot more like weddings and senior pictures and different things like that with the division they had to do that stuff. And so I got to learn more about how to use that external lighting effectively. And it was film photography, so we had to make sure that we had everything set and get that shot.
Right.
So um, that was invaluable to me, because because I took about a 13-year break from photography, because I left that company, and for a number of years after that, I did weddings and senior pictures and things like that on my own. And then I just got burned out and stepped away from photography for around 13 years.
Wow.
And it was that ant photo
Yeah.
that changed my world and started getting me back into photography again. And you know, every photograph I take, it's like I want people to feel like they're in their world, like they're meeting this kind of new friend. And so like there's not a real rhyme or reason to, like, the lighting has to be right and all those sorts of things. But like when I'm looking through the shutter, it's just there's a moment when things just feel right, and I just take the photo. And I do try to get lots of angles because I think it's important for identification, just in case it's important. You never know what you're going to find. You know, like there's so many species out there that have been that are undiscovered, and you could be the person. You with your phone or whatever could be the person to discover something new. And that's another great thing to share. Like, like you could come to All Bugs Go to Cabin or another group on Facebook. It doesn't have to be my group. Somewhere where you connect with people.
But it should be.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you. Okay. See, let me lose my train of thought. You're making me blush.
So
does my head look bigger in the frame now?
You never know.
Yep, there we go.
But so you take a picture of a long-legged fly and you're not sure what it is, and you toss it into this Facebook group, and somebody with more authority than you says, I don't recognize this bug. I think you found a new bug.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the thing is, like, I have discovered new records for the state of Indiana. Can you hear Toby?
Yeah, singing a song back there.
Oh, Toby. Oh, buddy. You're so sweet.
He wants to go outside. I didn't think he was going to be the one. He's usually patient, so he must have to go.
Let him out.
Right.
We can pause.
All right.
Let him be free.
I am
Friends
so sorry.
With the animals.
Don't worry. We love all the animals here.
All right.
We let Kelly pee on the podcast sometimes, too.
Well, not like on the podcast. I take a little break.
See, Toby, don't feel bad, buddy. See, even Kelly does it.
Even Kelly.
All right, I'll be right back.
She's a learned scholar. She too has to urinate. It was so sweet. I left this morning. Ted had joined us at some point in the night, as he often does. And I left. It was just Cody and Teddy curled up in the bed together. And I was like, oh, you guys are so cute. It makes it hard to leave. You're so cute.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it means my back hurts because Ted gets like right up. He wants to sleep in your skin if possible.
Yeah.
Like, that's what he wants.
Yeah.
Is to be like in the same set of pajamas as you, and you're like, get away from me. But it often means I wake up with my back hurting because I'm like on the edge of the mattress because he's like scooted over so far that it's like pushed me over the edge.
Finn will come up and sleep. He likes to sleep with his butt on my chest.
Yeah.
And his head facing the edge of the bed. So by the end of the night, I've moved all the way against. We have a king size bed. I've moved all the way against Joe. I'm sweaty because there's just too much touching.
Hot water bottle touching it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a warm cat butt on my chest. So I'm like all sweaty. But he's so sweet. I don't want to move him. You know?
I probably have to wake up Cody
not a cuddler otherwise.
Twice a week to make sure that he's like on his side of the bed because he's like migrated over, and I'm like, get away from me! I'm trying to sleep. Yeah, so
yeah, I need space when I'm sleeping.
I don't want you all up in my business. I'm trying to rest.
Yeah, my husband's a cuddler, and I'm like, please stop cuddling me. I need space so I can sleep.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Are you
the one
the cuddler?
thrown off, that is. Yeah. Yes, I'm the cuddler. Toby doesn't like it either because he's definitely a ladies' man. And so when I roll over and put my arm around my wife, he comes up between us.
Oh no.
Excuse
He's
you,
a bad
that's
boy.
my wife. That's my wife.
All right,
he's a mess.
Reset.
He went through a lot of abuse, and he's just turned out to be such a good dog.
Oh, little puppy.
I'm glad he's a good boy.
Trash animals, man. Sometimes they're grateful that you're just like letting them stick around, and they're like, thank you.
He is such an awesome dog. I have to share a video with you of when we went to my friend Rick's house in Coal City. He has his family has a property with, I think it's like 200 plus acres of forested land. And it also, I think, butts up to Sycamore Land Trust, which is all just protected land as well. And also on that property is what is possibly the largest breeding site of great blue heron in the state. So it's this amazing place, and he finds some of the most amazing arthropod species out there. And so we just have these weekend getaways where it's me, him, and Sergio Enriquez from Global Center for Species Survival, and then Mark Milne from University of Indy, who's kind of like the state spider biologist. That's how when the first person who brought him up to me years ago, that's what they labeled him as. And I think it was just, some people you say arachnologist to, and they go, huh? So spider biologist, I think, makes sense more to people. But anyhow, I get to hang out with these awesome people, and Rick has found 5 species of bullous spider on his property.
Wow.
And so the first trip that, like, after he had found them, the first time I'd gone out there, post him finding them, he told me, like when I was getting ready to leave, that he had a surprise for me when I got there, and I was like, okay. He said, I found 3 other species.
Wow.
So I was like,
that's wild.
What? Are you kidding me?
I've never seen a bullous spider in person, only videos.
Well, you'll have to come. Like, if you want to make a trip to Indiana, I'll just talk to Rick, and we'll make a plan and try to get you out there to see some bullous spiders, because it would be
awesome.
So cool.
It is the one power I feel Peter doesn't use enough as Spider-Man. It's like he should be cowboying up some guys.
I'll tell you, they're. I mean, I got to see them at night. I got to see one of them with their bolus out, and we called it bolusing. We saw them bolusing. I don't know if that's an actual term, but it is now. It is in our world.
Did you watch them grab a moth like mid-flight?
No, I saw some moths kind of attracted to the area, but I never actually saw the catch. And it may have possibly been when I lost my footing, hit the branch, and it stopped bolusing.
Oh no!
Don't know. I mean, maybe it was that. And we actually waited for like 30 minutes, and it wouldn't go back to doing it. So I got one really good photo, and I'm super thankful for that one photo. So, and sometimes that's all you get.
For the listeners who may not know what a bullous spider is, they swing around a sticky piece of webbing, and they use it usually to catch moths. Some of them emit pheromones that smell like female moths of these specific species, and super fun, super cool to watch videos of. So, listeners, Google
facts.
That, I guess.
True facts. Z Frank, great video, hilarious video. It's only like 3 or 4 minutes long. Totally worth watching if you want to learn about bullous spiders.
Oh, nice.
And he has other videos as well on arthropods that are factual but funny. I
love that. I love humor.
Trust me, it is worth the watch. But a couple other really cool facts about bullous spiders. I don't know if it's with all species, but with some species, males are born mature, like come mature out of the egg sac or out of the egg. So, totally wild, because that's just pretty well unheard of in arthropods to come out of the egg, a mature
grown
adult.
Man.
Grown.
But yeah, come out mature, like no cheesy jokes or anything.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Yeah.
The won't even laugh at a fart joke, these spiders.
But so that's really cool. And then there's different species. So certain species will actually just kind of dangle their bolus, and where others actually swing it around. And when they're immature, I believe they emit pheromones that attract certain flies and not moths. And that may be species. Maybe there's some that attract moths. I don't know everything bullous spider, but they are just fascinating. And really, I can say that about just about any spider. And that's what really helped me overcome my fears of spiders. Looking at photos, observing them, both just on the ground or in their web or wherever outside and through the lens, helped me greatly. When you notice that these things you're trying to photograph are running away from you most of the time, you start to understand that they aren't really wanting to hurt you, or that there's no malice or any kind of ill intent on their part towards humans. We're just big animals and they want to get away from us. And unless they need us for some reason, they're not going to seek us out. So, mosquitoes, ticks, things like that. Those are the things that are more concern to me than a spider any day. And they're vectors. So, they do have the potential to cause me harm.
Well, that brings me to, we had a question from your Facebook group from someone who asked, why should we conserve spiders?
Yes, I know who that was. That was Mark Milne, the spider biologist I was telling you about.
Oh, so it was well intended. We were debating whether it was a why should I care about spiders, or if it was a please expound upon why we should care about spiders.
Mark putting a well-placed comment in there for serving his own purposes.
I want to see what Kevin's going to say on this one. There are so many reasons to conserve spiders, but there was like a study done, I don't remember, it wasn't too far back, where it was found that spiders eat somewhere between 440 and 880 million tons of food every year. So if we were to snap our fingers and zap all spiders off the planet right now, you can imagine the havoc that would come from that, and the just sheer numbers and species that there would be due to not having that predator-prey relationship happening. But also predator-prey relationship on the other side is important too. Birds and other animals that eat spiders. And arthropods in general are part of the reason they're so successful is because they're food for so many animals, because they produce so much offspring. Very few offspring make it to maturity, and that's because they're providing to the environment. And it doesn't matter whether they're providing as prey, or if they're part of the decomposition process. They are providing. They are through decomposition by insects typically. You got through their feces, you got healthy soil being created, and these nutrients that are going back into the soil, and then new things grow and then provide life for more insects, which provides more life for So with spiders, it's they're just so incredibly important. And then Sarah Rose, who is the author of Spiders of North America, that was put out last year by Princeton University Press.
Book. Excellent
Fantastic
book.
Best book on spiders for North America just the range maps alone make it.
There aren't enough books about spider ID either. There's like nothing. There's like little tiny books, but this one is incredible.
Well, and Sarah is just a phenomenal person. She and I have become good friends, and I'm just so thankful to her. She has always been there for me as a friend when I need to talk, but also for spider knowledge. And so I first reached out to her, I think it was probably about 8 or 9 years ago. And I was so like, oh my God, she's responding. She's called, I can't believe it. Sarah Rose, this is a really smart person who knows stuff, that I don't know. And she actually is, calling me back. And to think like we talk on the phone on a weekly basis now, and she's just such a light in my life. I can't believe that, I get that opportunity just to be her friend. And anyhow, now I'm rambling. I'm great at that. I always call those side quests when I get a little bit off on a tangent. And
we know all about tangents here on
what was the question? Was there a question, or was I just talking?
Really. You were just talking about spiders, and we need them.
We need them.
It was Mark's question. That's right. Mark, are you proud of me? There's just so many reasons they're important, and it's just I want to destigmatize, because when I did it, I was asked to be part of a symposium for ENTSOC 2020, which is the Entomological Society's national meeting, and we did a study, not an official study, but we put a questionnaire out there in a 24-hour period, maybe a little bit over a 24-hour period, we had close to 3,000 people respond to this questionnaire to get information on how many people in these Facebook groups, arthropod groups, have fears of, had fears of arthropods coming in to these groups, and then what types of arthropods, and so on and so forth. How high will like rate your fear, and all those sorts of things we did. And so what we found was about 72-73% of the people that responded had a fear of some arthropod coming into a Facebook group for arthropods. And then of those, it was like 82% had fears of spiders. And that was like landslide biggest fear was spiders.
That's the one.
And so knowing that was my biggest arthropod fear years ago, it just makes me want to fight for them when I see those kind of things. But what I saw was that was really cool through all this data we collected was that before, that most people were rating their fear if they were afraid of spiders at, like terrifying or just below, and they weren't just kind of middle of the road sort of afraid. And then after learning through Facebook groups for arthropods, it was just like if you looked at the graph, it just looked like you took it and flipped it. So everything that was really high was now really low, and then so the fear, the number of people that were like saying they had no fear after learning was like through the roof.
That's awesome.
And then the people who still had fear was almost nil. And so that's pretty amazing. And then to see that like so many people overcame their fear within like 30 to 90 days.
Wow.
I don't remember the percentages on that, and I would love to share if you want to see the data on that. I don't know if I've ever shared that with you, but
yeah, I'd love to see that.
But it's really eye-opening. And one of the things I thought was cool is when I was watching the data as it came in, and once I hit about 150, 200 responses, the percentages didn't change much.
Oh.
So it kind of made me feel like, okay, this is pretty accurate just across the board to be getting so many responses. And even from 200 to 2,000, the percentages didn't change much on anything. And so I thought that was kind of cool.
I mean, it really leads credence to the idea that like you're scared of what you don't understand.
Yeah.
And like,
absolutely.
People always throw that around as this like, trite expression of like, well, we fear the unknown,
Absolutely.
But for real, I mean, that's what your data is supporting here is the idea that like you're scared of spiders because you don't get it.
That's what my experience is supporting too. Yeah. And I mean, so
if I understood heights, I could conquer my
well, there are some fears that I think are there for good reason.
And right, that's lizard brain stuff.
Yeah. But like, because that's the only fear that I can think of that I really have that really, I had to do a service, a pest control service where I had to go walk out to the middle of a drawbridge, like one of them that comes up or swings. And I had to go out to the middle of it, then move to the outside edge of it, climb a 2-story staircase into an office at the very top of the bridge.
yeah, where the operator guy is.
And install some equipment up there while he's moving the bridge and rotating at 90 degrees and all that stuff. And then walking up was hard enough. Walking down, looking down at a river, over 100 feet below me, and things are shaking and just everything. And there's guys out there working, and as I'm walking up the bridge, and I'm just like, you guys are amazing people because I couldn't do this.
Yeah. No. You see those cranes where they're like building whole buildings, someone's got to build the top of this 100-story building. And I'm like, I don't think you could pay me to get up there. That's crazy talk. They're just sitting up there all day. Just
I love heights. I think it's really cool. I'm
not like especially scared of heights, but like, as a teenager, I would have been like, let's go skydiving. That sounds awesome. Now, as a 30-something, I'm like, no, we're not doing that. That sounds like a horrible plan. Jump out of a plane? Do you know how high a plane is?
I went skydiving when I was 18, and it was awesome. It was awesome.
18-year. That's who skydiving is for. It's for 18.
It's for 18-year-olds. Yeah. My mother was not happy when I told her afterwards.
Exactly. I'm in the mom phase of my life now. Where
One of those ask
No.
forgiveness later scenarios.
Yeah, well, I said I'm 18. I'm going to do what I want. You know, I'm an adult.
Whatever.
I was not an adult. 18-year-olds are not adults.
Gosh. Well, and
They're
you know,
not.
I'm
They're really
amazed
not.
No.
at like, you know, I think back to like when I was 25 and I felt like I was learning a lot of life lessons and I was at a good place in my life and felt like I had a lot of wisdom and stuff. And then I, you know, fast forward 10 years and I look back to when I was 25 and think like, I was
What
a
a
freaking
child.
idiot.
What a baby.
And, you know, and so, you know, then fast forward and, you know, another 10 years and you know, and just now it's just like, I don't think about where I stand as much as how I can grow.
Yeah.
And,
There's always more to learn, always.
yeah.
It's
And
a never-ending
so
process.
back then it was just like, you know, like I felt like I was trying to find this standing in the world instead of just being me and letting that be okay. And so now, you know, I'm just focused on being a better version of me every day. And so, it's amazing the difference your life will go when you just stop worrying about titles and all those. Like, I don't care, like somebody who tells me their title, if they're, you know, some big prestigious title, show me what you do with it.
Yeah.
Show me who you are. Show me your integrity. I don't care how much money you have. What are you doing with it? How are you helping people? You know?
I'd say from 15 to 25, you're just living in the Dunning-Kruger effect, like at all times. Oh, I know about that already. I'm a big boy who knows all about that, actually. And then at 35, you're like, what a little baby boy I was. I didn't know what I was talking about. And,
Well,
you know,
you're really doing it though, Kev. You've put your money where your mouth is with this incredible outreach and conservation work you do on behalf of arthropods everywhere. It's really just inspirational, and I'm so glad to be in the group and to be your friend. It's just awesome. It's awesome. Thanks for being you, buddy.
Are you trying to make me cry
Sorry,
or what?
sorry.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. And I've had so many people that have come to see me at events that I do, and some people have driven as much as 6 hours to see me. And to
That's
have
amazing.
somebody that came that far just to see you and just to say you changed my life, I never thought a Facebook group would do that.
Yeah.
And now that I'm seeing it happen by the thousands, I'm just honored that I could be a small part of that for people, because I don't take credit I don't feel like I can take credit for much. I feel like I put this template out there and yeah, I do outreaches and I do all this stuff, but like a person overcoming their fear is them.
yeah, they did that work.
Yeah.
And
it's hard work.
we are just we are just little helpers and people putting those positive thoughts in their ear to help them to convince themselves that they can do it. And I had a member reach out to me right after I started All Bugs Go to Kevin. Her name's Kelly. Great name, isn't it? And
I like it.
She's in Texas, and she reached out to me and I said, okay, this is a lot to talk about. Can we do a phone call? And so we talked on the phone, and love that Texas accent, but she said, okay, Kevin, you've totally you've totally screwed me up, and now I'm starting to care about spiders. And
how dare you?
My paradigm, it's shifted.
So she sent me this picture. What kind is it? And it was a cellar spider, and she was just worried. It was I think it was in her window in the kitchen, if I'm remembering correctly, and it just wasn't doing very well. And I said, well, sometimes they just get a little dehydrated. I said, sometimes it's just their time to go. But if you want to try to do something for it, you could try to give it some water. And then, she's, huh? Like, how am I supposed to do that? And so I just said, you could take like a cotton ball and soak it, or you could take a Q-tip and you could just hold it up and they'll actually just take the water right from it.
It's very cute. Yeah.
And so,
what are you saying right now? You could feed a spider with a little Q-tip, a little bit of water.
Yes.
Oh yeah. It's very sweet.
Gosh, that is so cute.
Amanda, you got to get Teddy to water feed spiders.
I gotta find a big juicy girl to water now.
No, you need to find a not so juicy girl.
Yes.
If they're dehydrated and not so plump, they're going to be more likely to take that water from you. So.
I'll keep that in mind for summertime next year, because
if their butt looks like a raisin, they need water.
Okay. Yeah, they get little raisin butts. The poor spiders.
I live in a wet part of the country, so I don't know how successful I'll be on this endeavor. It's always wet here.
House spiders almost always will take water if they're in the
Okay.
house because they don't have access to as much.
Mm.
Unless you have a moisture issue. I hope you don't. But
I've got 2 children. There's always moisture around somewhere. So someone's peed somewhere. Someone's flooded a tub.
Oh, and pest control. I've had fruit fly issues that have been from urine, peeing in closets, and things like that.
Wow.
You know,
wow.
So
this is where I keep my pee.
Hey, I'll tell you what though, every little thing that every little weird thing like that is just another tool in the bag that helps me to solve a problem.
Mhm.
And so many problems can be solved without any pesticide usage whatsoever. And most of the fly issues are like that. You can just solve it. You just have to find the source, get rid of it, and ta-da! It's amazing when they don't have food how they don't do so well. And that's really how pest control I feel should be handled in most cases. Is
what are you
figure
doing
out
to bring them to you?
right what is the cause. Let's get to the root cause and get rid of that, and then they can't live. So
it's this bag of malto meal from 2012 that's in your
right
your
right
still.
well, and I've done calls where I've gone and something gets missed, and I go open a cabinet and they said they were just here last week, they checked all that, it's none of that.
Yeah.
And I'll say, well, I'm a kind of a leave no stone unturned kind of person, so I'm going to look again. And and it's just they pulled one bag off the top shelf, and there was one further back, and they didn't get up on something and look, and it was that bag further back that they couldn't see that was the problem. And so I'll take it out to the trash outside for them and say, okay, well, have a good day. And they're just like, so you're not gonna spray anything? Nope, like there's no need. And they a lot of times are floored that I'm not doing chemical applications, but then I explain things to them well, and they always get to hear about why the animal that's in their home is important in the environment as well.
That's awesome.
But also,
education.
They see 2 days later that they no longer have a problem.
Yeah.
And so now I've gained their trust, and they start to understand, like, oh, pest control isn't the chemicals in their truck. There's actually something to this. Like there's knowledge that is needed to do this. And so it helps them to value me instead of the chemicals on my truck, because the most important tool is our brain. So that's the chemicals in the brain are the most important chemicals to use.
Oh, that's kind of sweet, actually.
Yeah.
Your brain chemicals. Yep. Something you said just a minute ago about like the spiders, like really changed my perspective. I never considered spiders as the food source before, because so many times you hear, why should I care about spiders? Well, you don't want bugs in your house, right? The spider will take care of that. And that's kind of, again, like what can the spider do for me? You know?
Right.
But to reverse it and say, well, what is the blue jay going to eat if you get rid of all the spiders? What are the robins going to eat? What are
some of the smallest birds in North America that require insects to like just get their young off to fledgling? It's in the thousands of insects that they need for just one clutch. I'm just trying to find the word. So that's pretty eye-opening to me. And that's why like planting native plants is so important, because you're providing for native wildlife, and not planting all of one thing, because a lot of times people, even in your vegetable gardens and stuff, if you have a lot of other non-vegetable native plants going, you're going to bring a lot of different things and allow that predator-prey relationship to take place. And then you start having balance. When you start doing these like kind of monoculture, way of doing things, where you just kind of really are one note on the things you're planting, then if your plant diversity is not there, then no other diversity is going to be there. And so if you want to see diversity and balance and stuff in your yard, plant lots of plants. Don't do the opposite. People are afraid of bringing bugs in. The more you bring in, the more balance you have, and the more the more diversity. Diversity is important, people, and I've found that to be true in my personal life as well as in nature. And nature teaches me all the time. Teaches me patience and all kinds of things.
I just saw this TikTok, and it was this farmer guy in middle of nowhere America, And he was talking about how if you have an off-season field, which people don't really much anymore because you just got to be making money all the time. But if you've got an off-season field that you're going to let rest, don't let it just grow. Purposely plant native grass in that field, and you'll bring back the quail. And if you bring back the quail, you'll bring back the things that eat the quail. And if you bring back the things that eat the quail, you'll bring back these hawks or whatever it is. And pretty soon you've got a field that's like a little ecosystem.
Yeah.
That's like helping native wildlife the way it intended. Not all grass is created equal. You have to make sure you're planting native grasses because that's what the quail wants. That he was talking specifically about. Like, people say I never see quail anymore. So like it only grows this tall. Guess how big the quail is? An inch shorter than that. You know, like it was just a really interesting idea of like, you can do this. You can make the area of your life that you have and use it to make things better, at least in your little patch of the world, and that we should all be focusing on that sort of stuff. It's not that hard to plant grass, and look at what you've done, you know? It's not that hard to take pictures of bugs, Kevin. Look at what you've done.
Well, I just keep with when conversations of lawns come up, I always just like to say, like, lawns are a thing of the past.
Yeah.
Talk things into existence. Like, I mean,
are you an 18th century lord? Then get rid
right,
of
like, well, the joy that it's brought to my life and the joy that I've seen it bring to so many other people's lives, just once they get past the hurdles of the fear and then they start planting things in their yard, and the joy that it brings, you get to go on a safari in your backyard and not have to pay for a plane ticket or anything else. You can go in your backyard, and every day, if you spend enough time out there, you'll probably find something you've never seen before. Every day. If you're into squirrels, how many different species of squirrels are you going to find in your backyard if you're just sitting out there before you've seen them all? You know, if you're into mammals in general, like what are the odds that you're going to see an insane number of diversity of mammals in your backyard in comparison to any other animal except for arthropods?
Yeah.
And you can go and I have never been harmed by arthropods when I've gone out with my camera and have gone looking other than ticks and mosquitoes.
Yeah. Kelly.
I haven't even been hit by a horsefly yet. I've never been hit. I've never been bitten by a horsefly.
Oh, I've been bitten by
I know
flies
that they're
before,
not fun, but
it
well, when you look at their anatomy, it doesn't look like it would be very fun.
Yeah, they don't have piercing mouth parts. Amanda, when a fly wants to bite you, it just has little sort of crushing pinchums, and then it rips a chunk out of your arm.
Oh my gosh.
So
terrible.
Can you not use those big scientific technical terms?
Please,
not everybody out there understands that terminology.
Pinchums?
The big old pinchums.
Derek yells at me when I jargon too much on the podcast, so I try to keep the language relatable.
I try to be mindful and try to put context clues in there when I throw out words, because I think it's important to learn the terminology too.
Although we did an episode where I discussed what mandibles and chelicerae and the different types of mouth parts, but sometimes it's just got to be crushy pinchums.
The first time I was on a horse that galloped, so I was probably about 9, maybe 10. That galloped because a big old fly, I mean an inch-long sucker, came, landed on its neck, and I assume bit it because it then took off running.
Oh no.
Little Bit was the name of the horse. And, I'm 10 going, whoa, whoa, trying to get this horse, and it would not stop. And now that you describe what it's like getting bit by a horsefly, I'm like, you know what, Little Bit? You were correct. That was the correct thing. I was just along for the ride on that. No, thank you.
They have beautiful eyes, though. I'll tell you, horseflies, they look so cool.
You've photographed many, 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 many bugs. Do you have a favorite?
It's so hard to pick a favorite because they're so freaking diverse and amazing.
And awesome, yeah.
So just spiders alone, I couldn't pick a favorite. I have certain species that are near and dear to me. The one that helped me overcome my fear, and earlier you said, that I put my money where my mouth is, and it's funny when you said that. It reminded me of the first time I held a spider was right after someone told me those very words. That had just been learning this stuff about spiders, and I was starting to share everything I was learning because I was starting to work past that fear. And it just felt amazing. And so I just wanted everybody to like learn that, like, no, they're not jerks. They're actually really cool. Yeah. Check this out. They do this. This one does this. And then someone said, well, you keep talking about all this, bite stuff that they don't bite. It's so unusual for them to bite. Why don't you put your money where your mouth is? And I was like, I haven't, I up to that point, just I don't touch them. I just give them their space and I observe them. And not that anybody has to hold or touch a spider. It was important for me to put this to the test to be able to teach other people. And now fast forward 12 years past my, first getting into pest control and getting into learning all this stuff, I've now handled thousands and thousands of spiders. I've crammed them in vials at biological surveys. I've done all of these things, to them where I deserve to get bitten at this point.
Yeah.
Like, it's fair. Like if they do it, like, you know what?
I've harassed you enough.
Right. I deserve it. But I've never been bitten once by a spider.
No, me neither.
I spent all summer, well, not all summer, but a portion of my summer I spent doing educational programs on black widows, brown recluse, to help destigmatize them and help people realize that, yes, things can happen, but it's very rare. And I was, poking brown recluse in the face and letting them crawl up my arm and doing all these things with, like, thousands of people saw me do this over the summer. And it changed so many minds. You could just see it. And then I gave them the opportunity to face their fears after they saw my talk. And pretty well everyone who, like, raised their hand when I asked if they had fears actually held a tarantula. There were a couple that said, I can't do it. And I said, that's fine. You don't have to ever do this. Just learn to respect these animals. Don't kill them just because of what they are. And I said, but if you do decide before you leave, you know what, I want to try it. I don't want you kicking yourself. Come back. I'm here. So if I'm still here, if I'm putting everything in my car and I've got the last container in my hand, I will still get things back out so that you can do this. So if I'm still here, we will do this. Both those people came back and did it. And I was just
that's awesome. That's great.
I mean, 100%. 100%. Actually, the two biggest events I did, 100% on people who wanted to, face their fears but were reluctant. They did it. In the end, they did it. And it's just, to see that, to be able to experience that and just be able to facilitate that for somebody is such a gift. It means so much to me to be able to do that and be a part of that for people.
It's a big reason we started this podcast too, was to get people to love and respect arthropods, and because they
or even
they
just
do
the level
heroes,
of tolerance.
Tolerance is fine too. Yeah,
I think that's where I'm at. I love and respect these, especially over the last 2 years doing this podcast. But the thought of holding one would still, I think, freak me out. I think I could do it if I had. I think I could do it if I had a Kevin with me. If I had Kevin and he had, this is Rosebud, the rose jointed. I don't remember what the tarantula is called, but. And her name's Rosebud, and she's really gentle, and I hold her, 3 times a week, and she's never given me a problem. I think I could do that if it was Kevin and his friend Rosebud.
So here's the beautiful thing for me. I don't hold my my animals unless I'm doing a program because it's stress I don't want to put on them.
Right.
Some stress is good. There's actually studies out there about stress and how a little stress is good. So don't worry. I don't overly worry about it because they don't have stress if I don't do anything. I mean, my animals have a pretty good life. So, so a little bit of stress isn't an awful thing, but I feel like they kind of get that at feeding time. But it is a very big deal for some people and kind of a rite of passage to be able to do that. And so that's when I do it. But here's the thing that I've learned is arthropods have pretty predictable behavior. They don't have big brains. They're not super smart. They're not vindictive. They don't take revenge. So they're pretty much like, you can do something and expect a certain behavior in response to what you do. Wait 10 seconds, do it again, and the same response is going to happen. They may jump left instead of right this time or whatever, but but essentially you kind of know what's going to happen. So with my spiders, I just understand the different species and the behaviors, whether they're fast or slow. I have tarantulas that are pet rocks. I have others that are super flighty. I am not going to use a flighty tarantula for handling. I don't want to use a tarantula with hairs that are a little too irritating, because I've seen people use the Mexican red knee tarantulas.
Those are pretty bad.
And the hairs are pretty urticating, and then they're constantly flicking them. So like, so like I don't feel like that's a good species to do handling with for as an ambassador animal. So I use the Arizona Blonde and Grammostola porteri, which is a lot of times called the rose hair tarantula.
I think that's what I was thinking of.
The Grammostola rosea, I think, is the one that they technically call the rose hair, and then this one they tend to call the Chilean rose. It is, in my opinion, much more beautiful than the
red
than the rosea. So anyhow, I feel like I got off on a huge side quest there.
I don't.
Because I'm going back to like the question was, do I have a favorite arthropod?
Yeah.
And 90 minutes later, so no, I don't have a favorite arthropod. So I got off on that long tangent. And if you guys have to edit some of that out, you're not going to hurt my feelings. But anyhow, so the first thing I ever held was a jumping spider. It was pretty tiny. It jumped on my hand, kind of looked at me, walked around, jumped back off, and that kind of helped me see that. Well, one, I wasn't getting hurt, and they really didn't want to be on me for that long, and I kind of had that experience a few times with jumping spiders, and then I got a call from a customer who knew I was starting to photograph these things, and so he said, "I've got one for you." And I said, well, my first question is always, is it alive? Because I don't like photographing type stuff.
Yeah.
And he said, absolutely. And it's a big one. And so I said, okay, I'm on my way. And so I go, and he has a fishing spider, dark fishing spider.
Oh, fun. Yeah.
In a little plastic container. And he said, you can keep the container. The homeowner doesn't, or the tenant doesn't want it back. It was in an apartment complex. And I said, okay. And so I took it home, and I was like, okay, I'm going to hold this thing. And it's like 3-inch leg span big, probably in there,
Really?
And so I dump her out onto my hand, and she's just sitting there, just chill as can be. And I just remember just this feeling of relief, and the chills come over my body, like those good chills. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this right now. I can't believe this is happening right here, and so I have my phone out. This is before I had nice camera gear. So I have my phone out, my macro lens, and I'm doing all these different pictures with her in my hand. And then all of a sudden she decides to run, and she runs up my arm, and I had a short sleeve shirt. So she runs up under the sleeve and onto my bare skin on my chest. So in my head, I'm reciting the things that I know to be true about spider bites.
They're peaceful.
Bites only occur when trapped in clothes, shoes, or bed. Bites only occur when trapped in clothes, shoes, or bed. Oh no, this is one of those situations, So I dropped down to one knee, and then got out a ring. Sorry. I dropped down to one knee, and I just kind of like, I pulled my shirt out just a little to create a little puff of air, and she just fell out. I picked her up, got her in my hand again, took a couple more photos, put her back in the container, and nothing happened other than what I just told you. There was no bites, no nothing. Even with her being against my skin, the pressure of my clothing, all that stuff.
I tell everyone they really don't want to bite you. They don't. No. It's an energy expenditure, for that venom. It's just, they don't want to.
They got to make more. And how do they make more? They need to eat.
Yeah.
So if they haven't eaten in a while, it's not a winning situation for them to use their venom on a non-food item. So
I told this story in a past podcast, I think, about wolf spiders. And I had a Carolina wolf spider I was working with in the lab. And she got spooked and ran up my arm, up to my shoulder. And the undergrad who was with me lost her mind. And I'm like real calm. I go, it's all right. She's just scared. She's just scared. I'm just going to get her back in the cup. Everything's going to be fine. And Carolina wolf spiders are big. She was a big girl.
Yes.
but she didn't hurt me. She was all right. She's just spooked. That's
She's
all.
the size of Kevin Stuffy right there.
Yeah. Oh, I wish. I love a wolfie. We all know that I love a wolfie. But
I just love them all.
Bugs Need Heroes was created by Derek Conrad and Kelly Zimmerman. Hosted by Amanda Niday and Kelly Zimmerman. Bugs Need Heroes is produced and edited by Derek Conrad, with some assistance from Chelsea Bodden and a few cats. Character art is by Amanda Niday. Our music is Ladybug Castle by Rolemusic. Got a bug question? Email us at bugsneedheroes@gmail.com. Check us out at bugsneedheroes.com, and most of the socials are under Bugs Need Heroes. Thank you to the Entomological Society of America for the Chrysalis Fund grant.
Is there an Instagram?
There is an Instagram, because I just looked. I just Googled Kevin Weiner. Bugs photography.
Wiener. Wiener.
Wiener.